Hey, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be building a simple password generator in Python. This program will allow you to create strong and secure passwords by combining letters, numbers, and special symbols. Before we jump into the code, let's take a quick look at what we're building. So when we start the program, we are greeted with a password generator logo, and the program asks us how many lowercase letters we want. Let's say we want 2 lowercase. Next is how many capital letters. Let's say 2 for those, 2 numbers, and 2 symbols. Once we enter these details, the program generates a secure password. So let's try this again, and let's do a more complicated password this time. Let's say 4 letters, 4 capitals, 3 numbers, and 5 symbols. And the program generates an even more complicated password. So now let's get into the code. Let's start off by creating a new file, and I will name this file generator.py. For this program, we will be using the random module, so I will import this right away. And now we will need to define some lists of characters that will be used to build the password. We will define 4 different lists, one for lowercase letters, one for capital letters, one for numbers, and one for symbols. We can later use the random.choice to pick random characters from these lists. Next, we need to ask the user how many of each type of character they want in their password. But we also want to make sure the input is valid, so no negative numbers and no non-numeric values. In this case, we'll define a function that will validate the input for us. We will use the while loop to keep asking the user the question until valid input is entered. So this function will take the prompt. For example, if the user is asked of how many numbers they would like, it will go into a loop while true. So it runs infinitely, and then it will try to convert the input from the prompt that we asked. So how many numbers, how many capital letters, how many letters the user would like. It will try to convert it into an integer. If the integer is less than 0, it will print a message saying please enter a positive number, and then it will go through the loop again. If the number is above 0 or 0, it will return the number, meaning valid integer has been returned to us. Now, if there's a value error, meaning if a letter or something else that's non-numerical has been entered, it will print please enter a number and continue going through the loop again. Now we'll move on to the main function. Here we will ask how many lowercase letters, capital letters, numbers, and symbols the user wants in their password. First, we will print a logo, and then we will call the validate function 4 times and store the integers into 4 different variables for the number of letters, number of capital letters, number of digits, and number of symbols. In this case, we call the validate function 4 times, passing in these prompts and storing the return value into these variables. Next, we will create an empty list called new password, and we will then use for loops to add the specified number of characters to the list based on the user's input. So this is the first for loop. We loop through the range of the number of letters in this case. So for example, if the user entered that he wants 5 letters, it will loop 5 times. And what we are doing is we are taking the new password list and appending a random choice from the list of letters for the amount of times that the user has entered. Here we loop over the number of characters that the user wants for each type and for each iteration. We randomly choose an element from the appropriate list and add it to the new password list. Once we added all the characters, we need to shuffle them to make the password more random. Then we can join the list into a string and display the final password. In this case, we will use the shuffle function from the random module. And once the password is shuffled, we will go ahead and print the new generated password. We will use the join function to convert the list into a string. Here, the random.shuffle mixes up the order of characters, and the quote marks dot join function converts the list back into a single string, which then we print as the generated password. Now that we have this done, we finally will call the main function like so. We use the if name equals main to call the main function, because this ensures that the script will execute the main function when run directly from file, and it doesn't run if it is imported. Now that we have this done, we will go ahead and test the code to make sure everything works properly. And there we go, the program runs properly. Let's go ahead and try to see how the program handles errors. So if we enter a letter instead of a number, it will say please enter a number. So let's go ahead and enter a number, and now for capital letter we'll enter a letter, and the question goes back to capital letter. So this works perfectly. Let's try negative numbers, and it also catches that error. And that's it. You now created a simple Python password generator. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned something new today. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe and like the video. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the future, please do leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.